Good morning. Today is Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. It is 7:30 a.m. in the council chambers at City Hall, 1123 West Lake Street in Sandpoint, Idaho. And this is a regular monthly meeting of the Sandpoint Urban Renewal Agency Board of Commissioners. Roll call. For the record, I am Chairman Eric Paul presiding. Also present are Commissioners Kendon Perry, Tom McCoy, and Jason Welker. Please note that Ned Brandenberger and Marilyn Sabella are absent. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the October 1st, 2023 meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Motion?
Move to approve.
Commissioner McCoy.
Second.
Commissioner Welker. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. The minutes are approved. So I wasn't here, so who would sign those minutes?
Actually, Kendon.
Kendon would? Okay, and he did. Okay, please note that. And I'm signing the minutes
From
now
July.
from July.
Which were approved last month.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, are there any members of the public in attendance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Before we proceed, for any members of the public in attendance, there will be an opportunity to comment on the morning's agenda topics as we wrap up presentations and discussion on each. The rules for public comment during the meeting are as follows. Comments may not be derogatory in nature against any individual, business, or organization. Public comment opportunities are for comments only. Do not ask questions of the board or city staff. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Public comment is at the discretion of the chair. Next item on the agenda is the monthly financial statement report. Please note the balances are reflective of September 7th, 2023. The downtown general account, we have $1,485,447.77. Revenue allocation fund is $94,749.41. Remember, the revenue allocation fund account is for a payment reserve for our existing debt. Northern, we have $4,466,259.59. Please note there should be a comma after 4,466, $259 versus a period. Minor detail. Downtown loan balance as of September 7th was $957,764. Next payment due is September 15, 2023, and that payment amount is $83,378.15, and that will come out of the downtown general account. We did receive increment in August. We received $139,925.70 in the Northern District, and we received $280,093.78 in the Downtown District. For the record, just year to date, the Northern has received $513,763 versus a budget of $608,652. And the Downtown has received $875,277 versus a budget of $635,250.
Chairman Paul, for point of clarification, the 608,000 for budget, is that year to date or for the full fiscal year?
Full fiscal year.
Okay, so are we tracking above or below for actuals?
We are tracking above for Downtown and below in Northern.
Could you repeat the Northern numbers again, please?
The Northern year to date is $513,763 versus a fiscal year budget of $608,652.
But it looks like we're on track to exceed budget for the Northern District by the end of the year, correct?
No,
No.
we'll be under budget because we only have 2 weeks left.
Oh, the fiscal year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And we're ahead of pace for Downtown. Art funds, Downtown, there's $165,542.55. And in Northern, there's $91,336.35 as of September 7th. Silver Box project, we've advanced $14,840, but there's a remaining balance of $5,159.78 remaining to be advanced. Do commissioners have any questions or comments regarding this month's report? Hearing none, would anyone from the public care to comment? Hearing none. Other announcements and reports. Are there any general announcements from the board or from city staff? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to old business and updates. We have staff members we have city staff members in attendance to provide project updates. We'll begin with Arts and Silver Box Project. I will yield the floor to Arts and Commission Historic Preservation Officer Heather Upton. The floor is yours, Heather, and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for having me. I'm so excited to share with you all the recommendations that were delivered to council and approved by council in this last meeting for the Silver Box Public Art Program. So just as a reminder, we have the 3 locations. There's one in front of the post office on 4th and Church, another right near Farmans Park on 4th and Oak, and then Oak and 5th right by Columbia Bank Building. So when we received the applicants, the Arts, Culture, and Historic Preservation Commission, who selected the pieces and recommended them to council, did have in mind the sculpture to go with the box in terms of scale, size, and how the public would interface with them. And then we had this set of selection criteria. So as a reminder, we did the national call through CAFE. We received 16 applicants. Out of the 16, 6 of them were eligible. So here are the pieces. So Annalee Harris, and the sculpture is at River's Edge. And it's to be placed on Oak and North 5th, so of Columbia Bank area. It is for sale at a price of $8,000. So if it does sell after the year loan period, then the city would receive 10% of the sale. And this is a Bonners Ferry artist, and she's very, very excited about this opportunity.
Is the bird lifting a beaver on a stone?
Yes.
Good eye.
Well, you know, it's art, so it's up to interpretation, right? But that is an otter actually, which she carved, and it's from European granite. And then she chose a Washington basalt stone, and then used kind of upcycled metal that she hand painted. If you ever are in Bonners Ferry, you've seen some of her work down by the library, the flames.
Right.
That's one of her pieces.
Wow.
It's a great opportunity to bring more exposure to artists and help support them too. Each artist receives the $1,000 stipend. Dave Gonzo, he is a local artist here in Sandpoint, and this is the spirit tree. He has a lot of feeling behind this sculpture. He believes that it represents the balance of masculine and femininity by the copper and the steel, and the steel represents strength and fortitude, which ties back to the roots. And the branches, while the copper foliage is about flexibility, protection, and healing. So I've been in contact with all of the artists, and they are so lovely and very excited. So all of them have been down and looked at their location and gave me feedback on it. It's this beautiful tree.
Is there concern that the snow would have an impact on the branches or the leaves?
All of these are, the artist is responsible and aware that
Okay.
it has to be out in the elements
seasons,
for
okay.
4 seasons.
Okay.
And the great news about this program is we've had many different cycles, and so we've been able to work out all
Okay.
of those nuts and bolts at this point. But that's a very good concern and question. This is Ursula Roma, and Natural Wavelength is the name of the sculpture, and it is powder coated steel, and this is to be placed by the post office. She's from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I spoke with her on the phone. She has not been out since COVID. She's never been to Sandpoint, Idaho, and she's potentially going to be delivering this sculpture on a road trip up here, which would be really fun and exciting to see her, meet her. She did actually end up putting a price on this sculpture. It's for sale for $7,500. So we have 2 local regional artists, and then one from the Midwest.
And when do we expect them to be installed?
So they have 2 weeks to install them from when it was the agreement was signed. So they have to be installed on or before the 21st. So I have one coming up tomorrow.
Oh,
for
nice.
installation and then coordinating the other two.
Cool.
Do you guys have any questions? Fantastic. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Heather.
this opportunity. The Arts, Culture and Historic Preservation Commission really appreciates all of your support.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any further questions of Heather on this project? Hearing none, would anyone from the public care to comment? Hearing none, next item on the agenda is a downtown waterfront design competition, and I yield the floor to City Administrator Jennifer Stapleton. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. We are in stage 3 of our downtown waterfront competition, which it's part of the competition, but we're kind of out of the competition. We're definitely out of the competition between teams phase. So our team selected to go to stage 3 is led by GGLO and Bernarda Wills. Looking at our materials online, or if you came downtown, that was team C in our A, B, and C. They have been issued the jury report, which is available for the public, and I'm happy to send out to the board if you're interested in seeing that as well. So we've got a webpage, sandpointidaho.gov/stage 2 design. And that's where we had all of the presentation materials and overview of the competition. And we uploaded the jury report to that about a week ago, which also went to the design teams. In this stage 3, based on jury input, which was developed both with their technical reviews as well as reviewing all of the public surveys that were received, public comment that we received at in-person events, as well as looking at our technical advisory group comments. They have asked the team to address several issues in more depth in this stage 3. One is land use recommendations. So really taking a look at our code, our districts, and the possibility of districts or overlays, uses, heights, and massing, and get into a next phase of including some cursory level design guidelines that will come out of this to address the concerns relative to historic character of the community. So this has been something that Heather's, our Arts, Culture, Historic Preservation Commission, has been asking for, and we got a lot of community feedback relative to concerns about heights and massing in the downtown core. So we expect to see a lot on that. Again, taking up the challenge, particularly looking at City Beach on that challenge between balancing ecology and human activity. There were some concerns relative to the rewilding that they had done at the beach. Great from an ecology standpoint, but how do we balance that with use by people down at the beach? So a closer analysis and consideration of that. They've also been tasked in this third phase with looking at opportunities in the downtown core and making some recommendations around diversity of housing and opportunities for workforce housing. And certainly there are some opportunities with that, maybe in conjunction with urban renewal downtown. They will be making some recommendations on that as well. Relative to circulation, they've been asked to go back and particularly take a closer look and provide some further details relative to bicycle circulation. So it was clear how vehicles would access downtown. They did a lot of pathway connectivity throughout the downtown, which created clear more connection opportunities, particularly along Sand Creek and from Sand Creek over to City Beach for pedestrians. And there were some questions as to how bicycles fit into that. And then our ongoing challenges of bicycle connectivity from the west into downtown, most particularly when you come down Oak Street, get down to perhaps first, where is your connectivity? Where is the best connectivity to City Beach, and identifying that corridor, especially as we are taking out that ramp along Bridge Street at Farman's Landing. then finally looking at that connectivity as well from South Sandpoint. So they've been asked to particularly look at those, but more specifically, really think about that bicycle circulation and connectivity. They've been asked to provide more detail on the urban tributary and the different ways that it flows through, showing the concept in different areas of downtown. So a little bit more detail. Again, phase 2, they were very much at the conceptual space. They are also going to be developing a streetscape hierarchy as part of this phase 3. And we met with the team last week and really related to that and into the next recommendation, which was seasonal activity. If you look historically at our city hierarchies, our downtown streets guide, what had been developed to date, it's really focused on the summer season and consideration of accommodations during the summer season. And one of the challenges in terms of operational challenges has been they have not effectively always considered our winter landscape and the winter needs. So what are we doing with snow storage? How is that impacting pedestrians? Where are there still opportunities for bicycle circulation? So really taking a look at these streetscapes and also activities downtown that are in the winter months. We talked about it, but this is the deep dive. Finally, city beach circulation, you probably saw in their concept, they were keeping, this was the team that kept the boat launch in the existing location, but was recommending taking the RV park, making that boat and trailer parking only with connectivity to the boat launch. Concern raised was that they were still connecting in passenger vehicle parking lot, which is one of those challenges with the variety of users we get down where it gets bottlenecked down at the boat launch. And then the second concern particularly was relative to the boat launch. The parking was quite some distance to the boat launch, so could impact queuing of during the busier times of boats in and out when people are trying to walk back and forth for their cars. So consideration for how to address that. This is the phase that they dive deeper into First Avenue Phase 3 downtown revitalization. So the plan this year is getting through the downtown design competition, which will wrap up mid-October, and then we're immediately moving in and picking up design of Phase 3 downtown revitalization, which will go into the next fiscal year for construction. So we'll definitely hand off there. Our intent is again to work with this existing team moving forward because this was a competitive selection process. And we're getting a long way in kind of the early phases really of design at this point. Going back and revisiting their bridge. Their bridge was another one of those love or hate 50-50 kind of things that we've had several of in recent years. So really going back and taking a look at costs, affordability of that, what are some opportunities potentially to scale that back, and maybe rather than come up with a bridge concept design, perhaps provide guidelines for development of a bridge. So where we are, reminder on Bridge Street Bridge, that bridge is, we are in a state of needing to replace that probably in the next 10 to 12 years. So that is not long on the horizon. Right now we're in design for some short-term needed structural issues to just kind of bridge the time till we can get the funding for the bridge. So the fact that the bridge was included was based on us indicating that we're going to be doing a bridge replacement there. Focusing on phased implementation. Again, this was addressing a lot of issues, and we've discussed that here at these meetings as well. And so looking at where is the low-hanging fruit, how we might undertake this, and looking at some of the larger projects, how we would phase those. Again, a reminder for the urban renewal agency, we are looking at the feasibility of the creation of a new urban renewal district. Phil Cushlan has been working with the city on that actually for several months. And we anticipate that moving forward and a presentation to council and the urban renewal agency probably towards the end of this year. So kind of timing of projects, drawing the boundaries and planning for that, but that was happening in conjunction with this design competition. Consulting with the tribes was another element, again, reiterating, collaborating and coordinating with the tribes to ensure that any concepts reflecting tribal history in the region are authentic, respectful, and appropriately integrated. And our liaison for the Kalispel tribe is Heather. So she's been working closely with the tribe and has already gotten their feedback, and so is serving as a liaison with the design team on that particular portion of the project. So that's where we are with design competition.
Jennifer, one of the common, I think, possibly misconceptions of that concept was the elimination of parking at City Beach. Can you talk about the number of spots we currently have versus what were proposed in the? Do you have an estimate though? It's not, is it?
It is not a
Actually, fewer
reduction.
spots.
It's not a reduction of parking spots. There was a reduction in the number of boat and trailer spots. And we actually had that conversation with the team last
But
week.
at present,
is-
boats and trailers take up car spots.
Correct.
Cause you'll see that there are dedicated trailer spots, but on a busy weekend, you know, they've spilled over into the
Yeah.
vehicle spots. So there'll be no more trailer parking in the car parking lot
In
period.
the concept that we've seen to date, that's correct. However, there was a reduction then in the trailer parking spots, which is as problematic as the car park spots. So they're gonna have to go back and readdress that. But overall, they were increasing the number of car park spots, which is consistent with what we have in the adopted City Beach concept in our Parks and Rec master plan.
One of the things I liked about the boat trailer arrangement in the GGLO plan was the bottleneck it created at the end of the trailer parking lot where all boat trailers would be forced to go through the trailer lot, out to the boat ramp, turn around, and then come back into the lot. Has there been any consideration of like metering or having a pay station where non-local users have to pay to access the boat launch there and then pay to park the trailers as well?
Yeah, as
Because that
we're,
would be a good way to,
Yeah.
reduce some of that demand.
yeah, as we're moving this fall into parking management study for sure, that will also include looking at watercraft as vehicles that are parking. So, yep, yep, absolutely.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Realistically, when would implementation and completion be?
It's really a 20-year plan, so it's a long-term plan, kind of like our urban renewal districts or 20-year districts. Implementation, I would see us moving into implementation of some of the low-hanging fruit pretty much immediately. Obviously, a component of it is downtown revitalization. So again, moving from this right into design and construction, that's intended. Again, as we look at land use and some of the recommendations in that regard, as we're finishing up comp plan, that's going before council later this month in a public hearing, and then looking at code changes as a result of both the comp plan as well as the downtown waterfront design. So the intention is that this get incorporated into the comp plan as an appendix.
And when is the next opportunity for a public presentation or public feedback? I thought there was supposed to be one in early September.
So there was some confusion about that. It wasn't marked as a public meeting. That was a workshop, but that was a workshop with the design team.
Okay,
And the competition managers and our technical advisory group. So probably early October. So we have another meeting with them, design team, kind of workshop meeting, late September.
Okay.
So,
and will there be will anybody from GGLO present between now and the end of the competition to city council in a public forum? Or would it be just an open house type workshop?
There will be a presentation to the jury again, and that will be open to the public, and then there will be presentation to the council at the end.
Jennifer, the jury report is on the city website?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is on sandpointidaho.gov.
Yep.
/stage 2 design.
Okay.
And the jury report's right there.
2 spelled out.
No, 2 is in the number.
Thank you.
And you can see the feedback and comments for the other teams as well, if
Okay.
you're curious in that. So
Sure.
it was a comprehensive report for all 3 teams.
One of the concepts of this competition was that in phase 3, there could be elements from the, I won't call them the losing stage 2 concepts, but the ones that weren't selected to move on. Were there any, concepts from the other 2 plans that have been, that the jury has requested that GGLO integrate into their final concept?
Definitely dark skies in consideration for our lighting plan and dark skies ordinance. So it was team A that Skylab had a lot on that. The other teams really didn't talk about it a whole lot, but that was something both from public comment that we got down at farmers market and in the surveys, the public really appreciated. So really thinking about that, and that is something the team's already starting to dive into.
Perfect, but no regional observation tower.
No, I heard no discussion about regional observation tower. So we're not working on that.
Sometimes you have to go really big, right? So like dial back in.
The Tower of Babylon.
Yeah, and I'm sure. So to be clear on this competition too, all of the designs, everything that the teams produce is ultimately property of the city. So we can use it in future discussions to inform future designs, bring it over into this design. So I'm sure this team has looked at the feedback with the other teams as well. We haven't discussed that specifically, but you saw concepts carry through with rewilding and things with all 3 teams. So.
Okay, good. All right, any further questions from the commissioners? Would anyone from the public care to comment? Hearing none.
Mr.
Oh.
Chairman, we do have a member of the public online who has a hand raised.
For the downtown waterfront design.
Yes. One moment, I need to bring up my timer.
You guys hear me?
Kyle Schreiber, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Kyle Schreiber, Sandpoint resident. One comment I wanted to make among many that I'd like to make. Ms. Stapleton mentioned that the bridge there at Bridge Street is nearing the end of its useful lifespan. And I'd like to point out that we have a really great opportunity right now to align that bridge with Church Street, and it would solve a lot of the problems with bike routes and pedestrian routes, as well as the traffic problems that we're seeing there at First and Bridge. And, this is an opportunity that we're probably not going to see for another 100 years if we allow, a modern building to get built there. So, I think that these grandiose plans are all well and good, but, as a city, we need to focus on the nuts and bolts of why we exist as a government body. And if we're failing at those basic needs, then these grandiose plans need to be put on the wayside. And as we learned with the wastewater treatment plant, we can't rely on outside sources of funding to fill those basic needs. So if the urban renewal district has money that's just burning a hole in his pocket, then perhaps fixing that problem at First and Bridge, First and Church is a good place where that money could be spent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the final update. Our update will be regarding the downtown city parking lot. And again, I'll yield the floor to Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have had a subgroup meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency and a couple of other representatives that the mayor has requested participate, looking at downtown parking lot and development of an RFQ feasibility for that opportunity for public-private partnership on that lot. We've been working on development of a draft RFQ to go out and gauge private development interest. We're still in the works with revising that RFQ, so it's not a final document right now, and we're ultimately looking at taking that to city council for approval to release either later this month or next month. We have also given that RFQ to the design team to give us some feedback on as well, so that's where that is right now. Again, this would redevelopment of the parking lot would tie with the creation of a new urban renewal district. So again, creating economic vitality on the parking lot that contributes to downtown and also addressing the additional parking needs we have in the downtown during peak season and looking to the future.
Thank you.
And for the plan for this, would this be just a structure that's just a parking lot, or is this like a mixed use where you have some retail built into the structure as well, or what's the intent?
It would never be required. Our code requires it be a mixed use, so retail on the bottom floor and looking at opportunities. The way we've got this drafted right now is giving priority for workforce housing and encouraging that we want to see proposals with that. But again, as the design team is also given the challenge of addressing workforce housing, diversity of housing downtown, I think their eye on this as well could help inform and may affect a timeline as to whether it's this month or whether it's next month. So we're kind of moving these two things at the same time.
Jennifer, I just an idea, and I think I might have talked about this with our who's our consultant on urban renewal?
Phil?
Phil.
Yeah.
Down in Boise, there's I stated one last year, there's a model that might be good for Sandpoint. It's a kind of a hotel / workforce housing mix. They're basically like apartments, studio apartments that are also, you know, available as hotels, but for seasonal workers, they're available for seasonal rental as well.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the whole lower floors were parking with the apartments upstairs.
Yep.
Just wondering if that's a model that we've explored. It's kind of a mix that could be used, you know, for short-term stays or rented out for longer-term stays.
I know that Phil's familiar with that project as well as Mark with GGLO. I believe actually GGLO worked on that project. So we had some discussions on the subcommittee about this, that this RFQ and development, if we get too prescriptive, we can rule out anything. So again, where this is a negotiation, this isn't a short talk process. This will be a long-term. So getting it right with allowing for flexibility in there, but indicating that there is a priority for workforce housing is where we're at right now. And that may change in terms of final version that comes out of this committee and ultimately goes to council.
Commissioners, any further questions? Anyone from the public care to comment?
I would, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jeremy Grimm, 3 minutes.
Melissa, I'm Jeremy Grimm, candidate for mayor of Sandpoint, and just want to bring forward a couple things and echo some of Mr. Schreiber's remarks. One of the things is for Idaho code to create and establish an urban renewal district, there has to be slum and blight. I think that's a bit arbitrary, but when you look at downtown, it doesn't seem to me like it's filled with slum and blight. The reason I bring that up is because you know that urban renewal potentially captures tax revenue, an increment that could be going to the city of Sandpoint's general fund. And in light of the somewhat alarming state of our infrastructure in town, our roads and other things, I guess the question is, do we really need this kind of a project at this scale right now. You may recall, the whole downtown project started with a goal to fix a stormwater outlet at the end of Main Street going to Sand Creek, and project creep, to say the least, maybe, but I would just encourage you to say and think and consider, is now the time to extend an urban renewal district downtown in an area that has quite a bit of investment taking place, or is it more appropriate to maybe direct those revenues back towards the city of Sandpoint so we can start taking care of some of our degrading infrastructure? So thanks for listening to me.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I believe we have someone participating who would like to speak as well. Kyle Schreiber. Mr. Schreiber, you're up. Kyle, are you there? I have clicked the option, Mr. Chairman, that allows him to speak. He has to then agree to that on the other side.
How long do we wait? What if he's in the bathroom?
It's
mean-
possible. I guess it's entirely up to you if you're ready to move on.
We're ready to move forward.
All right.
We have work to do. All right, thank you for the updates and public comments. We have a few items to address in new business this morning. We'll begin with review and consideration of invoices, payment of invoices. First item 7A seeks board approval to pay $550,000 towards city invoices 381 and 460 as reimbursement for phase 2 of the downtown street projects as provided in CER's fiscal year 2023 budget. Remember, phase 2 was taken at Cedar down to First down to Main. Right? Church. Yes, all the way down to Church. Commissioners have any questions regarding this reimbursement?
This is the budgeted amount that the city asked for?
Yes, sir. Any other questions, commissioners? Would anyone from the public care to comment? I will now entertain a motion to approve a payment of $550,000 toward the city of Sandpoint for invoices 381 and 460 as reimbursement for phase 2 of the downtown streets project as provided under the fiscal year 20. So it's a 22-23 budget for the Sandpoint Urban Renewal Agency. Motion.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Bakoy.
Second.
Commissioner Perry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. This payment will be made to the city as approved. Next item 7B seeks board approval to pay invoice number 18040-2024-1 from the Idaho County's Risk Management Program, also known as ICRIM, for insurance billing for our fiscal year 10/1/23 through 9/30/2024. This is the annual premium. And the annual premium amount is $1,947. Commissioners have any questions? Anyone from the public care to comment? I will now entertain a motion to approve payment of full annual premium of $1,947 per ICRIM for the fiscal year ending 2024. Second, Commissioner Perry. Commissioner Welker. All in favor?
Aye.
No. Motion passes. This invoice will be paid as approved. Final items on the agenda are annual elections of the board chair and vice chair. At this time, I'd like to make a comment. They did not do this at the last meeting. I wasn't present, so people didn't step up to the table apparently. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for nomination chair of the board.
Move to nominate Eric Paul for chairman.
Bakoy nominates. Second, that was Welker. Does the nominee accept? I guess so. All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain. So that's 3. Any no's? Motion passes, right?
Maybe.
I will now entertain a motion for nomination of board vice chair. Currently, that's Ken Perry.
Move to nominate Candid Perry.
Second.
Coe nominates Commissioner Perry
The great state of Idaho.
and Chairman or Commissioner Welker seconded. Does the nominee accept the nomination?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Hearing none, the motion passes. And Commissioner Perry has been elected vice chair for the upcoming year. No further business on the agenda. The meeting will adjourn at 8:10 a.m. Thank you, everyone.